Well, welcome once again to Calaveras Living. It's a pleasure to welcome back Ron Brickman. As you probably know, if you've seen some and listened to some good music in this area, he's the founder of the Motherlode Friends of Music, and he has a lot of friends of music. He has a lot of friends too. So, Ron, it's good to see you. And actually, today we're not going to just talk about things that you're doing, but basically we're going to talk about a young man who's from this area who's doing very well, right?
That's correct. Leah Mccormick, he grew up in this area. He's a graduate of Calaveras High School from the class of 2002, and his parents still live in the area. They have their home in Paloma near McCollum Hill, and his parents are both teachers in the public school system.
Okay. Was he a really good music student when he was here?
Well, we had our battles, as every teacher and pupil, but it was obvious from day one when I started teaching Liam at the piano, because I am a piano teacher, that he was an incredibly gifted young man. Yeah. And whenever he performed in one of our recitals, the highlight was not his rendition of Chopin or Beethoven, but his own compositions, because already at the age, as a teenager, he was composing his own music, and it was exceptional.
Did he start out on piano?
Yes, piano, but he was also very gifted in voice. And during the time that I taught him at the piano, he took lessons from Lynn Creston, who was a world-class soprano and had a vocal studio here in the area. And he learned a great deal from her. Another great influence, I believe, for Liam was Neil Yarmovic, the teacher of music at the Calaveras High School. And they worked very closely together.
Good. Now, how did Liam learn guitar? Did he teach himself or take guitar lessons?
I don't know. I think it just came naturally to him.
He's just a good musician.
And just actually the piano too. It's for a child who's naturally gifted, it's actually harder to teach than one who isn't gifted, because they can do it instinctively so readily that they don't want to go through all the mental hoops to train themselves to do it correctly. Actually, he did it correctly, but it was just kind of a struggle between us, so that if I wanted him to learn a piece where he had to read the music and play it the way the composer did, he found that too confining. He was much happier doing his own stuff.
Now tell me something about the group that he fronts now.
Well, I don't know an awful lot about Leon's subsequent history after he left Calaveras High School. Every once in a while I would run into his parents and get an update. And then once I was at a concert at the University of Pacific, and I ran into his piano teacher down there. So we were sharing notes about how to teach Liam to play the piano, which was kind of funny. But he did go to the University of the Pacific, and then he went to San Francisco and created this group, the Family Crest.
So it's called the Family Crest?
The Family Crest, right. And it started out in 2008. And the guiding concept of this, at the very beginning, was to recruit lots of musicians and kind of make music together. It has always had this very collective ideology. And even now their concerts can draw in fellow musicians on an occasional basis, and sometimes there are dozens of people on stage performing with the group. But it started out as really a recording venture, and they ended up recording this music, most of which Liam composed, if not all of it, and he's always been the lead singer of the group. He has a fantastic voice. And then after they finished the recording and put it out on the market, they decided to turn themselves into a live band. And now they've been very successful as a live band. They're still based in San Francisco, and they perform all over the city in the Bay Area. They've gone frequently to Washington and Oregon. They've been to Austin. They go to Los Angeles quite often.
They were part of the Grammy Awards, weren't they? For
yes.
One of the parties?
They were designated a Google Magnified Artist Group, which gives them lots of advantages in publicity and putting themselves out into the limelight. And as such, they were invited to perform at a post-Grammy Award function in Los Angeles, put on by a leading record company.
Yeah. Now, basically, the core group is about 6 people?
That's right. As I understand it, they have their core group of 6, and that includes Liam on vocal and guitar. They have a bass guitarist who actually was a co-founder of the group and is still with them. Laura Bergman is a flutist and also does vocals and percussion. They have a percussionist, a cellist, and a violinist.
Okay.
And those are the 6 basic instruments, but all of them do other instruments. I mean, Liam goes to the keyboard when he needs to. But then they bring in, you name it. I mean, I've seen videos where they had an accordion player there and a double bass player, and it's these young people who love to make music, and they fall right in to the group music making that goes on.
Okay, before we go too far, we're going to play a little of their music on the show here today, but I want to make you aware that they're giving a concert right here in San Andreas on May 11th. Right?
That's the purpose of my visit here today. As you mentioned in your introduction, I am the head of the Motherlode Friends of Music, and I've been doing this for 20 years. The organization is primarily interested in classical music. We put on symphony concerts and chamber music concerts. We've sponsored the Sacramento Ballet, and we've done little operas. This is actually the first time that we've presented a group that is primarily popular music.
Yeah.
And the reason I did it, because of my personal connection with Liam and having followed his career, and B, because I think his music is fantastic. And as someone who doesn't normally listen to contemporary rock groups, its music is very appealing.
That's good. Well, let's just take a couple of minutes now. We'll listen just as part of a concert that they performed recently, and then why don't you set this up? What kind of music?
This first selection is called North. And I might mention that we tried to get a video to show along with the CD track, but we ran into copyright issues and the usual stuff. So unfortunately, that didn't work out. I believe the studio has some photographs that'll show while we're listening to the music. But North is one of the selections that the group recommended that we show to your audience to give them an idea of one type of music that they perform. And this is more of the laid-back ballad type music that Liam excels in. And the person you will hear singing is Liam himself.
Okay, we want to point out it's quite an eclectic group. They do quite a many different types of music and styles of music. So we're going to take a couple of minutes, listen to Leah McCormick and the family Crest. Here they go.
Before your father hears us, dear, I have something I have to say. I need you ever closer, dear. I need you here both night and day. Don't let him stand in our way. You here both night and day.
Kind of a slower, or an example.
It started out slow, but then he goes more up tempo later on, which is one of the nice things I like about this group. once again, I'm not a specialist in contemporary rock music by any means, but one of the reasons I'm not a specialist is that I can't stand to listen to most of it. But I find it's very kind of primitive and it has maybe one idea, but they're not talented enough to do anything with it. So it's very repetitive, and they kind of make up for the lack of creativity by screaming and repeating and excessive percussion and loudness, and it just turns a lot of people off. But this music is not like that at all.
No.
There's an arc in their compositions that go increasing levels of complexity. It's melodically always evident that they have a melody that they're singing, which is not true of a lot of popular music these days, and harmonically. As a musician myself, trained in classical music, I can really appreciate that their harmonies are much more sophisticated than what you normally hear. And there's a reason for that, among others, is that most of the group are classically trained musicians. They have performance degrees in higher education, so they know their stuff. They have a background that is much greater than a lot of the rock groups that are out there. And then finally, their orchestrations are so interesting. They have this range of instruments that normally you're not getting in popular rock groups.
Okay. Let me just quickly see if I can get this up so you can see. It just gives you an idea that it's a visually appealing group too, and that's the core group there. And just a remark again about May 11th, and it's right here in San Andreas. It's $20 in advance, $25 at the door. And when it says catering by Blue Moon Cafe, is there food there also?
Yes, we will be doing, have food concessions. I mean, this is kind of a blown-up version of a typical format that the Mother Lode Friends of Music has done for years, which we call a house concert. We go into someone's home, and we offer beautiful music, and it's always followed by a food and wine and a fare. This is a little bit different in that the price of admission is only to get into the grounds to hear the concert, and you can purchase food, wine and beer, and other drinks on site if you choose to do so.
Okay.
And Blue Moon Cafe is an excellent establishment based in Pine Grove. It's consistently rated the best in Amador County by the readers of the Ledger-Dispatch, and they're top-notch. They'll do a beautiful job.
Okay. Well, before we go too much farther, let's listen to once again another selection. This selection is a little more.
Yes, this one starts out more upbeat. It's called Sell Yourself Lightly.
Okay, and here again, Leah McCormick and Family Crest.
Lightly, daily and nightly, she moves to the strings of an aging guitar. Moving so queerly, speaking so clearly, she makes herself known with a boisterous guffaw as she goes. Oh, 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 I'm alone so far. Oh, 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 slowly, hilter-kilter, out into the streets with an aging guitar. Now the wind wails and she sets sail out into the street with a boisterous guffaw. Sell yourself daily, speaking so hasty. Tell me you love me, no, we've come far. But oh, now she's shaking, spinning and quaking, onto the teeth with a boisterous guffaw. Oh, and the band rises up. Oh, and she's never coming down. Softly, slowly, helter-skelter, right into the streets with an aging guitar. Now the wind wails and chills that sail out into the streets with a boisterous
Well, that certainly is not your typical group. It sounds like, as you say, they're accomplished musicians.
Right. You know, they've been reviewed by the San Francisco Chronicle, and everybody describes them in different terms. I think the San Francisco Chronicle said post-Baccarat romanticism. And in another, I think the San Francisco Examiner said, this is what you get when classical musicians turn to rock. And there aren't too many groups out there that have that kind of background.
But it seems very tasteful. Now, where can tickets be obtained?
Well, there are several places in Calaveras County where tickets can be purchased. Right here in San Andres, you can buy them at Country Cliffs Cafe right on 49, which is just across the street from where the concert will be held. And at the Arts Council.
That's called what, the Gardens, or what is it?
Well, it's the residence of Shirley Hubbardy, and she has a name for it. I can't remember. Maybe it's Terabella or something like this, Gardens.
But it's easy to find.
Well, yes. I mean, she doesn't have a big sign up, but she has a street number, which is 374 East St. Charles. And the people at the gate will be right there on the highway, so you can't miss it when you're coming to the concert. It'll be quite obvious.
And the gates open at 4:30, and then the concert's at 6:30.
That's right. So I recommend that people come early. She has extensive, beautiful grounds that you can walk around and
it's
visit.
called Gardens of Shirley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the food concessions will be in a different place in the concert, but there will be cafe tables, so you can enjoy a glass of wine and enjoy, sitting in the garden. It will be a lovely event.
Well, and the weather is cooperating lately,
It should be,
too.
yes.
Okay. Now, briefly, what's coming up for you?
Let me just say a little bit more about tickets,
Okay.
because many of your viewers don't get to San Andres that often. Other outlets that we've designated in Calaveras County are Aeolian Harp on Main Street in Angels Camp,
Okay.
and Sustenance Books on Main Street in Murphy's.
Okay.
Those are the 4 places in Calaveras County where you can get tickets during their regular office hours. In Amador County, there's Motherlode Music, which is across the street from Safeway. And Hine and Company Books on Main Street in Jackson, Gathering Grounds Coffee Shop in Pine Grove, and West Point Lumberyard.
Okay. Your memory, you know, that must come from playing so well and reading things and all these things going through your mind. You have an excellent memory.
It's more because I was a university professor, and when you're up in front of 300 undergraduates, you better know what you're going to be talking about.
Or at least fool them. Well, that's good. But what's coming? Are you going to do any concert yourself?
Yes, actually on May 5th, Sunday, May 5th, we're doing our last concert of chamber music. We call chamber music with small ensembles. It's going to be a wonderful concert. We have Laurel Zucker, who's internationally renowned flutist. She's put out about 50 CDs and has been reviewed by all the major reviewers in the world for her wonderful playing. And we're featuring a young cellist from Stockton, Eric Urbina, graduate of the UOP Conservatory of Music, and I and another colleague of Eric's, Jason Jeffrey, another pianist, will be sharing duties at the piano. And it's a very wide-ranging program, starting from a piece by a pupil of Mozart's. And then Eric will be doing 2 beautiful pieces, one by Beethoven, one by Tchaikovsky. And then Eric and Laurel will be playing this wonderful Latin piece by Hector Villa-Lobos, a Brazilian composer. And then the 3 of us, Eric, Laurel, and I, are doing the trio by Kapustin, who nobody has ever heard of, including Laurel and Eric. I was the one that introduced them to this work. This composer spent his entire life behind the Iron Curtain, and somehow he managed to assimilate all of the idioms of American jazz. I don't know how he did it.
What sources did he use?
Well, it must have been Radio Free Europe and things of that sort, you know. And he was also classically trained in the major conservatories of Russia and the Ukraine, and he put those 2 together in this fantastic music that is better than most American jazz writers do. And it's very jazzy, very syncopated. It's just phenomenal.
Good. Now, this concert with you is going to be where?
It takes place at the Church of the Nazarene. That's on Ridge Road outside of Cedar Creek, and it's a free concert. We offer several concerts a year without admission. We have a membership that supports this financially, and we want to make the music available to everybody without having to pay for it.
Well, that's good. How many concerts do you normally do a year yourself?
Well, we do maybe 4 concerts of that type. Normally we do one big symphony concert, which we did in March. This year we're celebrating our 20th anniversary season, so we've been doing a lot of special things like this Family Crest event. In the fall we did a magnificent program of Baroque choral music. Even after the Family Crest concert, we're doing a final event, a house concert. It's a 2-piano concert with me and my colleague from Murphy's, Diane Day, and that will be in a private Victorian residence in Sutter Creek.
Okay. How do you get the time to do all the things you do, producing and playing and teaching? How much time do you devote to teaching now?
Actually, rather little, right.
Yeah,
I'm sort of winding down that part of
because,
that
by the time you put these on and you rehearse things yourself
That's
for
right.
concerts.
It's very time consuming. And then I have a large property up in West Point that takes time to maintain, and so it's a wonderful lifestyle. I'm very happy with it.
Well, don't hurt your hands.
No.
Okay, let's recap this all then. Leah Mccormick and the Family Crest, and it's going to be Saturday, May 11th. The doors open at 4:30. The concert starts at 6:30, and you can get tickets in advance at all the places that Ron mentioned. Or you can get them $25 at the door, and you can either eat there or not. But it sounds like it would be nice if a person could both be there early and eat and.
That's right. And once again, the venue, I don't want people to be nervous of not being able to find it. It's very easy. It's right on Highway 49, right in the heart of San Andres. A residence that's on the south side of town. And it's right across from Country Cliffs Cafe and the drive-through coffee espresso shop on the right as you're driving into town from the south.
Okay. Just a little more about Liam. When's the last time you saw him, actually?
Well, I actually had a wonderful time. It was maybe about 2 years ago. They were putting together this very CD that we've been hearing excerpts from. And Liam called me up and said, do you mind if we come up and record in your living room? Because I have a harpsichord, and they wanted to use a harpsichord, and they didn't know anybody who used a harpsichord. So he came up with a lot of his colleagues and all their recording equipment, and did these various tracks that they used to put into their overall compilation for the CD. And so we kind of caught up, and at that time I realized how wonderful his music was, and the idea was planted in my head that someday we're going to invite them up to perform. And this will be their first local appearance in Calaveras County.
But as you said earlier, they're becoming known quite a widespread area.
Absolutely. And it's very encouraging. I sent around links to lots of people I know of all different ages, teenagers, people in their 20s and 30s, and older people, including members of the Friends of Music who are classical music lovers, and they all just loved it. So that made me think, there's no way this isn't going to work out.
So it pretty much appeals to a wide
It does.
Wide
It really
group.
does.
Okay. Well, it'd be good if some young people would be exposed to young people playing nice music.
It is, and I think it should be a real motivation for young people who are into music, saying that you can do it. You know, if you're just motivated enough and talented enough, I might add, you can go out there and make a name for yourself and make a career for yourself.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to sound like everybody else.
That's right.
Now, I don't know, we can't cover everything, but I do want to see, how do they go about letting other people on the stage to perform with them? They have some sort of rehearsal before that, or you said sometimes they'll have an abundance of people up there?
Well, it's by networking, and they have an article written up in Wikipedia that I looked at earlier today, and it describes how they started networking in 2008. Liam and his friend, the bass guitarist, and they put notices in Craigslist, and they went to the campuses, and it's really not that difficult to network once you're determined to do so.
But they'll have sometimes quite a combination of instruments.
Right. I think, they have their website and their various email groups, and they let it be known to their extended family. And you can go onto their website, which is thefamilycrestfamily.com, listen to their tracks, see more photos. They have a store where you can buy their CDs and other items. And they have a list of their extended family. Hundreds of people are listed there with their names and the instruments that they play. And on any given performance, these musicians come together. I know that the Basic Six will show up on May 11th, but who knows how many others will come along.
So that makes no two performances ever the same.
That's right, absolutely.
That must be nice.
But it's very well thought out. It's not just people getting up and making it up as they go along. Believe me, they know exactly what they're doing.
It's not a jam session. Okay. Well, what we're going to do with the remaining just a couple of minutes that we have in the program, we're going to play some more of their music, and we're just going to, Ron and I are going to sit here and listen and have a good time and be lazy and just relax. And we hope that you join us next time on Calaveras Living. And hope you enjoyed today's program and that you get to the concert too.
I have something I have to say. I need you ever closer, dear. I need you here both night and day. All is dark. All is quiet, and we're still moving fast. All is calm.